Clay Travis, Buck Sexton show. We are joined now by President Trump, who was so fired up by what he saw happen in the Olympics that he wanted to weigh in. So I appreciate you calling into the show, Mr. President. Let me start with this, though. I got concerned, Buck was too, that the final interview you might do for your whole life was going to be on this show because we talked to you Friday afternoon, and then Saturday you went up to Pennsylvania and you were doing the rally, and you came within about a quarter inch of taking a bullet to the head, and you took one to the ear instead. So the first thing I should say is, thank the Lord you're still alive. I can't believe it.
Well, it was pretty amazing, actually, according to a lot of people that know about shooting, like my sons and others. They thought it was pretty amazing. And, a great person was killed. I got to know his family very well, Corey, and the two people were very badly injured. Actually, they thought they probably wouldn't make it, and they're going to be okay. They're going to be fine. But they went through a lot, and it was a bad day. It was a bad day, no question about it.
We talked to Don Jr. up at the RNC, and he said that they were all terrified, as we all know in the family, but that he decided he wanted to make a little bit of joke, and he asked you about whether your hair was okay. Can you confirm that was true and that your hair was came through fine?
My hair is good. My hair is good. My ear was a little bit hit, to put it mildly, but my hair was left alone. That's true.
No doubt.
True.
All right, let's dive into this. Your granddaughter did an amazing job. She's a great golfer. We met her, I think, up at Bedminster with you, and you took her out on the course. I know you've been playing with her a great deal. Before we get into the Olympics in particular, if you found out that she was going to have to compete against men in golf, you know the difference. There's ladies' tees for a reason. There's a tremendous difference. What would you say as a grandfather, leaving aside the being a president, running for president, all of those things, what would you say, you're a big sports fan, just about being fair, if you found out that your supremely talented golfing granddaughter was having to compete against men?
Well, golf is different. First of all, it's a huge disadvantage anyway, but golf is a lot different than being punched in the face like that young lady from Italy was today, where she took two shots and she said, "I'm out of here. I never got hit like that before in my life." And she was supposed to be a very good boxer, but she said, "This is crazy." But golf's a little, because you still have to be able to putt and other things. But even in golf, there's a big difference in distance. That's why, as you said, better than anybody. That's why they have the ladies' tees and the men's tees and all of that. So obviously it's, a big part of what I say. One of the things that gets the biggest applause, just about, and I have other things that are very important, like the border. We got to close the wall. You got to drill, baby, drill, all of that. But one of the things that gets the biggest applause, and you know this because you've been to many of the rallies. I had a great one in Harrisburg last night. It was unbelievable, actually. And what gets the biggest applause is we will not allow men to play in women's sports. And, I usually use weightlifting as a good example. You could use swimming. You could use a lot of different, but weightlifting is so good. But I think it's been replaced by boxing because this young lady said, "I've never been hit like that." It was like getting hit by a horse. So, she took two punches and she said, "That's it. I'm out. I'm out."
What do you think about Kamala Harris? It's incredibly coincidental because today Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have rewritten Title IX so that it now includes gender identity. So if a man wants to identify as a woman, as you just mentioned, that thing has gone viral. Everybody is reacting to it. They wouldn't let that person fight as a woman because it didn't fulfill the biological requirements. Man beats up a woman in the Olympics. What did you think when you saw that video?
Well, this is where they've been. They've gone, into the whole thing with men can do anything they want. They can go into the locker rooms. They can do whatever they want. They transition. And that's where they've been. And people don't understand it. To me, I say we run a campaign on common sense. The Republican Party and MAGA is about common sense probably more than it is about being conservative or anything else. It's common sense. We want to have a strong border. We want to have low taxes. We want to have good education. We don't want to have men playing in women's sports. But this is where they are. The whole party is crazy. And they took him out. They did a coup with him. And it wasn't a friendly coup. It was a vicious coup. He had all the votes, and they just said, "We'll do it the easy way or the hard way." And they took him out. From my standpoint, here we are working against him. He's down for the count practically. And it's like if you had a fighter like Dana White, the great Dana White, you have a fighter. and he's not doing well, and you take him out, you put somebody else in. But I don't think she's going to do well because her policies are so bad. I mean, she wants open borders. She wants the all-electric cars in a very short period of time. No more gasoline-powered cars or hybrids or any of that. It's just ridiculous. The country looks so stupid to the rest of the world.
When you hear yourself and J.D. Vance called weird by Kamala Harris, who believes that a man should be able to win a women's boxing championship, that a man should be able to be a women's swimming champion. We had Riley Gaines on the show earlier. Who's the weirdo there? What's weird? Actually letting men pretend to be women and win championships, or just saying women's sports should be played by women?
Well, they're the weird ones, and if you've ever seen her with the laugh and everything else, that's a weird deal going on there. They're the weird ones. Nobody's ever called me weird. I'm a lot of things, but weird I'm not, and I'm up front, and he's not either, I will tell you. JD is not at all. They are. I mean, who wants to have open borders? We're prisoners. That's weird. We're prisoners, and we're mental institution patients are taken out of hospitals and jails, and they're let into our country. That's weird. Who would want that policy? Who wants the men and women's sports policy? Who wants to quadruple your taxes? The whole thing is weird, and the way they do elections is weird. And no, they're the weird ones. But you know what it is? It's a soundbite. You've been watching it. Russia, 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 Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. It's all a soundbite. And the press picks it up. Do you notice the evening news, every one of them talk, they introduce the word weird, and all of a sudden they're talking about weird. No, we're not weird people. We're actually just the opposite. We're right down the middle.
I don't know if you heard this yet, but a little bit earlier, Joe Biden, I don't know if Joe Biden knows anything. I think you kind of showed that when you knocked him out on June 27th and ended his political career. I know you saw me on Jesse Waters. I mean, we've never seen a knockout like that, talking about it. And I know you posed as he dropped out. But he was just talking about Russian hostages, and he said you didn't get Evan Gersovich back, even though Evan Gersovich didn't become a hostage until he became president. I want to let you hear that and hear what he said. I mean, his brain's mush. We know that, but I want to let you hear it.
President Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump now, former president?
Why didn't he do it when he was president?
Okay. I mean, how crazy is this?
Well, he's incompetent. And, he was so adjudged by his own, if you take a look, his own counsel. If you look at the prosecutor, we call it a prosecutor, they call it a counsel. And he came out and he said, with respect to the documents case, he said essentially that he's incompetent. That was an interesting thing. He's incompetent to stand trial, but he's allowed to be president. That's a very interesting thing. Can't stand trial because he's grossly incompetent. But
fascinating.
No, I heard that. I heard he said this. Why didn't Trump get him out? And he was taken during that time. I got out 59 different people, 59, and I didn't pay money. Once you do that, these deals are going to happen more and more because the amount of things, including cash, that we give up is so astronomical. This is a big deal. And they allowed some really rough people out. You know that, right? And they did in the first case of Brittany Griner also. They allowed, what was he? The Prince
Merchant
of
Death. They traded her for the Merchant of Death, which is maybe a worse trade than our friend Herschel
one
Walker
of the greatest,
back in the day.
the greatest arms dealer in the world, And look, these are rough deals. To make these deals, sometimes you have to be different. But we got out 59 without having to pay. I got people out of North Korea. You don't get tougher than that. And
last question for you, because I know I told your team you had to run. You got a ton of things. Last question for you: can you pledge that when you are president, men will not be winning women's championships? That you will reverse these Title IX rules? That I can't believe we even have to have this discussion. But that men will compete in men's sports and women will compete in women's sports, and this will be ended once and for all?
From day one, it'll be ended. And there'll be no tax on tips, and seniors won't have to pay tax on Social Security, and we'll do lots of different things. The seniors, that's been really hitting. The seniors paying tax on Social Security, it's a lot, and we're not going to do that. So all of that. But I can tell you one thing. men will not be playing in women's sports, and you guys can write it down, mark it down, and never speak to me again, although that might be an honor for me and make my life easier. But never speak to me again if I violate that. Nope, it won't happen. When you look at this young lady from a different country, what difference does it make? Just look and say, oh, man, what hit me? I just got hit by a horse. And I've never seen that, where 2 jabs. And she said, I've had enough. And, you can't take it. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. The whole country is a laughing stock. Our country has become a laughing stock all over the world, and we're going to change it. And we're going to make America great again, and you guys know it.
Amen. Mr. President, by the way, it's the 36th anniversary of Rush Limbaugh starting this show that Buck and I get to do every single day. So I didn't plan on this because I didn't think this crazy story was going to happen, but I appreciate you calling in and sharing with the audience and fighting the good side of the fight. Fight. One of the most amazing things we've ever seen. Thank you for the time, sir.
Thank you. And Rush would be proud of you guys. I can tell you that. I knew him well. He was great. He's really missed. Have a good time. Thanks, fellas.